Uh, right. So to create a C plus uh Unreal Engine for C plus plus, so we have here our Epic Games Launcher, right? Then of course we go to Unreal Engine to the library. You have your Unreal Engine versions. So like I said before, we'll be using 5.4.4. So let's go launch that. Should have launched it a while ago. Yeah, I should have launched it a while ago. Okay, give me a few seconds for this. Here. So if to create a project, if you go to games, you can choose any of these. So you can choose for now. I think we go with third person. Then you have to make sure you select C++. If you select Blueprint, there's no way. If it, I mean, there is a way to go to C++, but it's a bit hassle. So you have to make sure you select C++. Okay. So starter content, I'll leave it on. Maybe ray tracing is off. Then for the name, I'll just go with demo project C. Okay. So this again will take a while. Uh, and give me 1 minute. All right. Sorry. Nawala ako. I had to get something. So here we have the Unreal Engine. It looks almost the same depending on what you guys used last term or for GAMPRG1. But for here with Unreal Engine 5, there are some changes that uh, that is very different from Unreal Engine 4. One is of course, the content drawer down there. Other is, I think, nag-change din naman yung, hold on, let me shut off the settings for the overlay. Medyo just going everywhere. Overlay. Okay. Yeah. I think the other changes, they have the place act. Well, no, place actor. There used to be naman talaga. Well, for the C++ part, um, one very important thing to know is this button on the lower right. Without this, you're not going to be able to compile anything at all. With this button, each time when you make a change to your C++, it won't automatically show right away in your project. You have to compile it first, and then the changes that you made in the C++ will now take will now happen. So important, this button. Another thing also that I recommend is turning off. If you click on bur- it's called a burger, on the button here beside the compile, the enable live coding, I suggest turning it off. It's up to you guys. If you're working in the lab, better you turn this off. Enable live coding. Okay. So there's that. Next, how do we create a C++ class? There are two ways in creating a C++ class in Unreal Engine. One is through the content browser. You could go to the C++ classes. So this is new. Usually it's only just content and then all your folders. Now there's another folder here, C++ classes. Now in C++ classes, you can create a new C++ class by right clicking on the inside the folder, inside the content browser. Then you have here new C++ class. Another way is through tools, new C++ class. All right. So those are the two ways. They will end up opening the same window. All right. So for now, let us create a actor. Actor, let's call this demo actor. Um, Hopefully you kind of remember, or if not, I'll be teaching you yung mga pinag-usapan natin on the first day, the introduction, the having the U property, U function, right? We'll be talking about that part. So here I'm using Visual Studio. It'll be different if you use Visual Code or JetBrains, but the important part here, or at least what I like with Visual Studio, is the Solution Explorer. This is going to be very useful to you later on, especially when you have to include um, classes or header files into your project. So we'll talk about more later. Okay, so remember, C++ has header files and a CPP file. Header file will contain all your um, declaration for the functions, the variables, and then the CPP is the definition, or what do the functions do, or and how you use the variables. Of course, you have the public protected, whatever. But this is what I talked about before. You always have the U class up here. The generated body is always created here. Uh, and yeah. So let's create a variable. Mm, so let's say if I do like pang health, right? Enter it to health in the public. Now, in order for it to appear in the blueprint, because right now, sure, I have this in32 health. If I try to compile it, I hope I created. Okay, yeah. So if I let's say I compiled it and then let's create a blueprint of it. Blueprint and then go to all classes, search for the demo actor that I just created. Demo actor. Let's call it VP demo actor. So I created the health. However, there's no way for me to get the variable at all. It will not appear anywhere because remember, um, the reflective system of Unreal needs to be used here. It needs to you need to specify how it should appear in the editor. In that case, for properties, you have the U property. Then inside the parentheses, you have to put in what you want. What are the um, specifiers for it? So you have to tell how it should appear. For example, if I want it as a getter and setter, where you can set the value and get the value in Blueprint, I will do um, Blueprint read write. All right. So that with this, I am telling health. This property here is a Blueprint read write. It's a getter and a setter. If I want to show it in the um in the details here, then I have to say uh visible. Oh no, just show and not edit. Visible anywhere. There. So for this, health is now is getter has a getter and setter, and it is visible anywhere. So I compile, and we should now see that if I right click anywhere in the blueprint in the event graph, health should now appear. Get and set. Not only that, health also appears here. But you'll notice that I am not able to edit the value because, like I said, we only said visible anywhere. If I want it to be editable, so let's put a new one. Let's say int 32 max health. Let's also give it a U property. So let's say I'll do this only like read only, so no setter. That's blueprint read only. And then if I want to make it editable through the details here, I will say edit anywhere. Don't forget your semicolon. And with that, let's compile. So sometimes this happens, but when you show the log, it's like nothing is here. It's usually this one, the conflicting instance of Unreal Build tool. So you just have to sometimes wait for it to close, wait for it to fix itself, and now it works. So if you try to check that out, the health, we now have the get max health, but there's no set max health because I only said read only. And the other thing is the edit anywhere, and now you'll see I am able to edit the value. Questions? Clarification? I can also put here category if I want to put it in a category. For in this case, let's do the health category. Same thing here, category, health category. Doing so, if you see here, it's under demo actor, but after I compile, it should now appear under its own tab called the health category. Okay, questions, clarification for this? None. Okay. Next, we have functions. So let's create our functions. One, let's say void death. Maybe void take damage and void um health percentage. Okay. So same thing. If I compile this again, it will not appear here. We have to specify how you want to show it in the blueprint. In this case, for void depth, I want to make it callable. Oh no, take damage. For take damage, I will make it callable, meaning I want to be able to call it through the blueprint. So you have view function, blueprint, callable. And then let's go create a definition. For Visual Studio, um, you can automatically rate the definition by hovering on the green underline and then click on the screwdriver, create definition, and it automatically create this one. If not, you can just manually code this part. For def, I want to I want to create a definition in the blueprint and not in C++. Meaning, I don't want to create what it does here through C++. I want to do it in blueprint. So it's called ufunction blueprint implementable event, meaning you will implement it. It's an event that you will implement. For now, I will create a definition, but you see there will be a problem with it. So I'll save everything. Um, I will compile. And then it's gonna say, "Oop, you cannot. You cannot because." So you have to try. You have to know how to read these. It's not even go red. There's no red. Sometimes there's no red text at all. You have to know how to read. In this case, member function, no override, any base, whichever. Take damage, no override. You see here, function is hidden. Uh, yeah. I think yung mas maganda dito is this one. It's kind of weird though. Uh, Death void already defined in demoactor.gen.cpp.object. Second definition ignored. So from that, it means there's already a definition for death. It's just that I created another definition for it, and that's why it's kind of messing up because supposedly there's a definition already in Blueprint. But since I did this, then that means parang there may dalawa na sila, and it won't take it. So let's remove that one, and I will compile, and now it should be okay. All right. So again, if it's a Blueprint implementable event, you should not create its definition in CPP. Just leave it as is. Anything else you have to create. Well, yeah. Okay. So let's show that. We said that take damage is a blueprint callable. So if we type here take damage, we now have that function, take damage. But for the death, which is a blueprint implementable, it is add event. So this is if this looks familiar, it's similar to like when you create a when you try to create a maybe not create like when you add an event like on component hit, ayun no, gagawa siya ng event. And then if you add parameters to it, so maybe let's say bool is player int 32 player um index. So if I put parameters into it and I let's try to compile it, you'll now see that the event should now have also the corresponding um, nodes, the bool and the int32. Okay, questions or any clarification on this? None. Okay. So for health percentage, I want to create a function, but um, that will give the percent of the health. Now, if you've tried this before, if we create a function in creating a pure, has anyone used this before? Pure. This is only you can only see this through here when creating a function. Has anyone tried using or tried taking the pure? None? Okay. So what pure does is it will remove the no the node for the white line. Let's say it was a death. Oops, sorry. It's a take damage. It has this you have to connect it to something. Okay. But with pure, you don't have to at all. It is supposed to be just like this. But it requires an output so that ayan, ganun siya. So what happens here is that You do all your functions, all the calculations within the function, and you can simply just do this. It doesn't need to be connected at all. All right. So kailangan dapat purely just just calculations. There should be um no event happening here. All right. So it's the same thing here. It's called view function blueprint pure. And maybe not void pala. Kailangan dapat float. Float. And then oops, float. Then we have a return for float the health divided by float max health. All right. So compiling, and then if you try to check the health percentage, you see it's a color, it's a green F instead of the blue. In this case, it is just a pure function. All right. So if you want to test this out, what's this? Print string. Let's say, well, 10. It's going to be 0. Let's go set health. Let's say 10. Let's say 5%. That should give 0.3, 0.3333. 0.3333? Oh, why? Ah, yeah, one third. Yeah. Okay. Questions? Clarification for this part? Creating the functions and variables. Clear naman. Clear. Okay. So that's clear. Um, to go to another thing that I can teach you guys is how to to print a text. So right here we'd have print string. In here it's a whole different thing. It's like G engine, arrow, um, print message, add on screen debug message. This is the one. This is the one for print string. So you have to give it a key and then give it how long to display, give a color, F color, and then you can say black or whatever, yellow, and then the string itself, hello world, and then you can let's call take damage and compile, and then it should now appear here. Ta-da, hello world. So it's a lot. So key is the one that give it a key. If there's another debug message with the same key, it's gonna overlap it. It's gonna one of it's gonna replace the other. And then of course how long it will stay, give it a color, F color, colon colon, and then you can choose the actual message. Okay? So this is the functions and variables. Now I'm gonna teach you next how to create the components, the actor components. So what kind of components are we talking about? So you have the sphere collider, the static mesh component, the the spring arm, etc., etc. So I'll be teaching that. Uh, this case, let's go create protected. Another protected. Not really required. But for here, I'm going to be coding on adding, for now, a spring arm and a camera. Or maybe not here. Maybe not here pala. I want let's do it on pawn. Let's create another pawn. Another C++ class, I mean. A pawn, and then demo pawn. Okay, so here's our pawn. So let's say I wanted a spring arm component and a camera component. But question, what is the name of the class for those? Right? If you try to do camera component, if you try to IntelliSense it, it's not appearing anywhere. Remember, this is C++. It has to come from somewhere. It's not like on Unity na automatic siyang gagawa ng ng include, no? This is C++. You have to include it yourself. In this case, and also another thing, you don't include it on the header file. Kailangan CPP. You don't want any circular dependency happening. Okay. So first, camera component. How do we find that? One, you could try searching it. Unreal Engine, C++, camera component. You could search it here, and it'll appear that it is under. Okay, there's no more document for that. Why? Why did you remove it? Camera component. Hindi na tinanggal yun. Weird. I'll just show you guys. So for camera component, it is, if you try to search it here on the Solution Explorer, so this is why I like the Solution Explorer. Camera component. It will appear in multiple places, but there's a specific one. So it's under the source, and then you have the cinematic camera, and then you have these. So it's under the um, camera folder, and then camera component at H. You check it out. It is U camera component. So okay, U camera component. But remember, we don't want to include it here, but at the same time, you have to be able to get it no. So you can forward declare it. So forward declare, we put class here, and then camera component. So this is one way of forward declaring. It's gonna be red, but ah, pointer. Has to be a pointer. So asterisk. U camera component, asterisk camera component. But it is not taking it. Okay, there we go. So it's taking it no. So you could do this to forward declare on, you do it on the code mismo, or you can just forward declare it up here. U class, class U camera component. So you're telling the code that there is such a thing of a class, and it'll work like that. All right. So remember, you have to show it somehow in the blueprint. So you have U property visible anywhere. So I don't really need to to make a getter setter for this in the project I'm creating. So just visible anywhere. All right. And then let's also do the spring arm component. So how do we find the spring arm component? Spring arm component. And you'll see here it's under the game framework folder. So if you check it out again, it is called U spring arm component. That's forward declare it. U spring arm component. And then U spring arm component asterisk spring arm. Let's give it to the U property. U property visible anywhere. Okay. Questions so far? So you can always try to search it naman. Either that or try to see what is it called here. And then you can try to search it here. Right. So use pickup component and camera component. So let's try to attach it to um the pawn mismo. So right now, if I try to compile it, right? So we're compiling it, and then let's go create that pawn demo pawn. See BP demo pawn. You'll see here it's still blank. So why do you think? Why do you think it's still blank? Even though we specified it here. Anyone? Why do you why do you think na hindi pa siya lumalabas? None. Okay. So remember, pointers are um they just point to an address or to another function. Or sorry, an address pala, right? So it's pointing an address. So right now, sure, we have this, but it's not pointing to anything right now. It is just a pointer. So let's go create that. So spring arm muna. Spring arm, I want to attach it to uh the character the root component. Ano, sige, let's give it a static mesh also. Para it looks nice naman. So that's called U static mesh component. Static mesh. So you notice I didn't have any problem in encoding this. U static mesh. I didn't have to forward declare it because sometimes it really is just part of the actor. Pawn or actor. So U property visible anywhere. Okay. So let's go code that. For static mesh, you can name it anything. Equal to create default sub object. This is how it will create the component that you should be able to see in the blueprint mismo. So create default sub object and then less than. This is static mesh, so that's you static mesh component. And then give it a name. In this case, static mesh. I want this as the root component. So I would say set root component and then I want static mesh to be the root component. So paano yung ano? Paano yung spring arm? So let's go with the spring arm. Spring arm is equal to create default sub object new spring arm component spring arm. And I want this to attach to the static mesh. So spring arm arrow. Now you see nothing appeared. It was supposed to show something, but nawala siya. Because remember, um, we only just forward declared it, but we never said that it's an actual thing. So in the CPP file, we include the um, we include spring arm component that is under game framework. So game framework spring arm component. So now with that, if I did put an arrow here, spring arm arrow, and there we have access to its function. In this case, it is the set up attachment. I am attaching to the static mesh. Finally, for the camera, um I want it stuck onto this arm. So what's the name? Camera component. Camera component is equal to create default sub object and then new camera component. Camera. And then camera component arrow. Again, nothing is appearing. So include uh, camera slash camera component. There. With that arrow, we have access to its functions. Again, setup attachment. I call it camera. I sorry. Where am I gonna attach it to? Spring arm. Okay. So what did we do? We created a static mesh component. We set it as the root component. Then the spring arm, we created the component. Then we attach it to the static mesh. With the camera component, we created the camera component. Then we attach it to the spring arm. So you have to know where you're attaching stuff. Okay. So if I compile this, you'll now see that demo, our BP demo, has the static mesh, the spring arm, and the camera component. Okay. Questions? Clarification? None? Okay. Uh-huh. So that's that. That is how you create the the components. You just have to make sure you're setting it up correctly. All right. Finally, this part's gonna be a big bummer. Um, this I'm gonna put the controls, how to do controls here in Unreal. So if you're new to Unreal Engine 5, they totally switched up the controls. If you go to project settings and then input manager, or sorry, input the input system, you see here access and action mappings are now deprecated. Please use enhanced input action. So what is that? In order for you to go find this enhanced input actions, let's check what did the C++ do. If you check yung log, yung code nila dito, you will see this part, the setup player input component. And you see here, it is using the enhanced input local layer subsystem. Right. So this is it. In Blueprint, it's also like that, but it's also complicated in there. Kung paano gawin. I'll see. I'll show you later. So this one we need. This one we need for the movement. So I don't want you guys to memorize this part. This part is for me a bit hassle to learn. I don't want you to fully memorize this. What I will require you to do is maybe just copy paste some stuff from the sample. So in this case, um, I want this and this. Sorry, I'll show you. I'll show you what it looks like muna. Uh, con- oops, controller, layer, controller. This is player controller demo. Dito kasi, in order for you to create, to do the input, you need to have the enhanced input. Get enhanced input. No, not that one. Enhanced input. This one. This is what we need. Then we also have to do the add mapping context. And then you have to select the mapping context. So this part's going to be a bit harder. Especially kung di kayo nag-Unreal Engine 5 last term. Uh, what you need is this blueprint. Sorry, not blueprint. Input action, and input mapping context. So these are the two ones that you need. Input action it tells the game what kind of action it is. In this case, IA move. The important part is this value type and the triggers and modifiers. In this case, it's just the value type. I want it to be a axis 2D, meaning forward, backward, and left and right. So that's my definition. That's the buttons for it. But the actual mapping of the buttons is in the input mapping context. Input mapping context demo. And here it is. If I click plus on the mapping, and you'll see here, I have the choices of um, which input action. I'm pretty sure I did this one. And then you have to tell what keys do. So in this case, the W and the S, the A, and D. I want, because A is on the left and right. That is the basis. A is blank here. D, however, no, baliktad. D is right. So they should be blank. A though is papaliktad to the left. So that is modifier negate. So this will be instead of from 0 to 1, this will be from 0 to negative 1. Negate. Then for WS, since we are working with another axis, we need to swizzle it. So we go to modifiers, swizzle input axis value. So you'll see here it says that it will put the input onto the y-axis. Swizzle. Then W is forward, so that is positive. S should be negative. So not only do we have swizzle, but we should negate. Okay, questions here. Has everyone done Unreal Engine 5? None. No one went through Unreal Engine 5. You've all used the input system. Silence means yes. Okay. So we need these two. We need these two IA move, IMC demo. And that would how it would look like here is the mapping context will be IMC demo. And then we have to do the actions itself. So IA move. And you see here, nandito yung mga actions. This is mine. And just like the one that we did on death, and it's also an input. So trigger, and then action value. You can split this. Okay, so this blueprint. In C++, it's a bit more complicated. So I just want to copy this part. Let's create a C++ controller. Player controller, demo, player controller. Okay, it's compiling. All right, and you see here it's a bit it's a bit weird. There's nothing in it. So let's go do that. This one is protected, void, um, void begin play, override. And then what I want here though is it's called void um wait lang. Begin play. What am I missing there? Begin virtual void. Virtual void begin play. Virtual void begin play. And then there's another special one here. It's called virtual void on what's this here? Set up player input. Set up player input. This is the right one. Set up player input component. Parenthesis override. This is right? No. Okay, so if you cannot find it, there's one way to do that. You you should look for the code here. Input component. Input component. Set up input. Ah, here. Set up input component. Okay. So let me just begin play and the setup input component. So I told you guys don't memorize this part. Um, this one. I need this. There's gonna be lots of red because remember, you need to include the header files. Let me just. Is this enough? I think a bit too much. Ayan. So this one's red because it's a property. So let's put the property also. Let's also forward declare. I will forward declare this one. Demo controller header file. Forward declare all of these. So una, let's get the move for the move. You um you input mapping context, mapping context, and then you property visible anywhere. That one, then you have the input action for the move. Um, you input action movement asterisk. Don't forget the asterisk. And then you property visible anywhere. Mapping. What's this? Did I misspell it? Anywhere. Uh, and the actual move itself. So this one, void move. And then it is a if input action value ampersand, I think, value. So how do I know these? How do I know all of these? That's really no. Just reading the the demo stuff here, or you search it online. So this is the part medyo hassle tong part na to, but we have to go through it. So adding the mapping context, I want my mapping context. The mapping context for the move. I think this is const. So did I get it right? Yeah, I did. So move here. Paano nga pala to? Move. Ah, here. Uh, I'm gonna copy paste again something here. Demo character. I'm gonna copy paste. Wait, no, sorry, yeah. I'm looking for it. This part. If it has input, player input component, etc., etc. We need this part. This is the part where we try to connect the input action to a function here. In this case, this is blank. This is blank because this is this. This is red because it is called input component. And then finally, the what is that? The input action. This is called movement. I want this on started. Was it started? Let me just double check. Is it triggered? Triggered. I can't recall. Ah, triggered. It should be triggered. Triggered. And then this is the uh this move here. It's under a demo player controller, a demo player controller, and then move. Okay, questions here. So this part, you just copy this part. I don't want you to memorize this. No questions, no clarification of any sorts. Sige, last, let's call the move. To avoid a demo player controller, the move. And then for this one, if you check their previous ones, bind action, this one, the movement vector, get vector 2D. So let's do that. F vector 2D vector is equal to value dot get and then F vector 2D. So this will automatically change from this input action value into a common a data type. So if vector is nearly zero, return. If it is not nearly zero, meaning it is being pressed, uh this is get pawn arrow input movement add input add movement input, and then this is f vector. Wait, no, I want for the forward and backward. Okay, I'll just make a janky one. F vector and then vector dot x and vector dot y. Well, we don't have zero. Oh, we don't have a z. Okay, so what did we do? We set up the player input component. We we added the mapping context to the enhanced input local player subsystem. And then we bound the movement to a function, which is this. So let's try it out. Compile. Don't forget to always save your work here. Okay, I compiled it. This is demo pawn. This is demo pawn. Ano, I want to, sige nga, yeah, I use demo pawn. Demo pawn, let's give him the movement. Move pawn, movement. There. Let's create the blueprint for the class. This is the demo player controller, and then BP demo controller. Okay. You see here, we have the mapping context, but it's visible anywhere. My bad. It should be edit anywhere. So this is edit anywhere, and this one too. Compile. Technically, you can make it no blueprint at all. Uh, where was that? BP here. So IMC demo. That's the one that I just created a while ago. And then this is which one did I do? This is the one. And then let's change our settings here so we can try it out. Let's just make a game mode here. Test game mode. And then test game mode. The pawn is BP demo pawn. And the controller is BP demo controller. Okay, so there's no movement right now. Why? Why is there no movement? I think I need new function. New function here also. I hope that works. Play. It's still not moving. Why aren't you moving? Floating pawn. Ano nangyari dito? Play. My bad, my bad. See, very important also. When you when you have to override, don't forget to call the base function, or the one that you're trying to override dapat. So this one, begin play. Oops. Begin play. And then this one, uh what's this? Super setup input component. There. Compile. And now we should be able to move the character. And it's wrong. What I'm saying what's wrong is this is W. This is S. This is D. This is A. So nakamali ako. I made a mistake. Uh where did I make a mistake? Where's X? X is I don't want to use that. X is forward. Right, 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 right. X is forward. So let's just fix that. This is A. This is D. This is A. This is W. This is S. There we go. And something's wrong. because W is the negate. So mali. There. Okay. So that part, I don't want you to memorize that part. You can simply just copy paste that part. Especially yung part nito, ito. It sometimes it's too hassle. You can just copy paste it from your demo. All right. Any more questions or clarification on our topic today? None. Everything's clear. Okay. So there's no questions. That is our limit for today. Anything after this, medyo sabog na. All right. So if you have any questions or concerns, always feel free to just message here or message me mismo or message the this chat here. Okay. So yeah, if you have no other questions, ah, we'll wait to upload this, sir. Yeah, yeah. I'll upload this tonight. Okay. So yeah, if you have no questions or concerns, that's it for today. You guys can go enjoy your night, and I'll be seeing you guys next week. Bye bye.